Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner Classic and Classics. This is episode number 1836 and Doubleshot number 1730. I got two Batman related trades. First up, it is Nightwing Volume 7 Strike, the second to last trade to collect issues from Chuck Dixon's 70-issue run. This book only collects issues 54 to 60 and two one-shots, Our Worlds of War and The Target. The Target is simply put, basically, Dick Grayson framed for a crime he didn't commit. So, since it involves some crooked police officers, of course, he blames them for what happened. And of course, they blame him for it, even though it's not true at all. So, basically, it's about investigating dirty cops. So, basically, he ends up going undercover as The Target. He basically takes away the identity of Nightwing, can't investigate as Nightwing, so has to investigate as The Target, and eventually he's cleared of charges. And the dirty police officers who were sent to jail, and he got a bunch of staring at him because he dared take down good cops, aka crooked cops. Yep, seriously. Now, a lot of the stuff basically happening in this book is, well, first we have the debut of this character, Strike, who is basically brought in as an assassin by Blockbuster to kill Nightwing. That's really the whole business with him. There's also a subplot of the former detective who has head spin backwards by Blockbuster and the vigilante Nightwing. Not Nightwing, Nightwing, as in hyphen. They basically plot their escape. And basically he's like, oh, I'm going to basically get us out of here. How? You got prison guard on the side. Okay. Not explained here, but explained in my next trade. So, after Strike takes out all the assassins, basically, that... Sorry, I keep saying basically. So, it takes out all the assassins that work for Blockbuster, but doesn't kill Lady Vic because she's a beautiful woman. And Chuck Dixon probably did not want to kill her because he probably liked the character kill. Basically, just to test abilities. Eventually, he does take on Nightwing in a pretty interesting battle. It takes over the course of 2 issues. And he beat him. Our Worlds of War just hit his involvement in Worlds of War stuff. Yep. Now, of course, Chuck Dixon is writing here with most of the artwork here done by Greg Land. At the start of it anyways, he plays different artists. He's produced by Rick Lenardi. We also have Mike Laney, Trev McCarthy, and Scott McDaniel, which I believe was the original artist for this run. The cover art is done by, for this trade, is Greg Land and Drew Gersey. Mm-hmm. This is actually pretty good. Now, you might be thinking with these new printing trades, like, is this a combination of, like, a couple different trades? Well, that's a good question. And the answer is, for these new printing trades, let's see. 54 to 60, okay. Mostly put, basically, it's just the On Razor's Edge trade, just edition of 53 being here, and a couple one-shots that weren't collected before. Yep, that is pretty much basically what this is. It's just the On Razor's Edge trade, which is the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's only like the 9th trade that was released for this, for the original printing trades. And that was pretty much what it is. It's just this trade here, On Razor's Edge. It's not a pack of trade. It just says On Razor's Edge. This trade just addition of 1 issue and a couple one-shots. Yeah, it's not that much longer. It's like roughly, it's just 54 and 54 to 60, excuse me. Yes, so, yeah. The first couple issues in that trade, 52 was actually collected in the previous volume. 53 had never been collected before. And you're thinking, why was 53 collected? Because it's part of Officer Down stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't collected before in these trade series. Now it is. Yes. But in the case of the 2 one-shots collected in here, they, from a look up of the trades, were never collected in this trade series before. Our Worlds of War 1, that was collected before in the Our Worlds of War Omnibus. So this was the second time this one-shot been collected. Now, in the Target is probably the only thing in this entire trade that was never collected before. Yeah. But that's pretty much what else is in here. But this book is good. I got one more trade left to go for Chuck Dixon's era for Nightwing. That would be pretty much it. Though there's also now a year one, but I consider that a bonus book. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Next up is Batman vs. Bigby of Wolf and Gotham. That is the name of this miniseries. This is roughly 6 issues done by Bill Willingham. Yeah, it makes sense the fact that he write this miniseries for two reasons. Number one, he has some history writing Batman. Namely, he wrote Batman for the War Games crossover, and he was also the writer for Robin. Just prior to that, he wrote Robin Unmasked. And he's also the creator of Fables. Yep, he's the creator of Fables. So basically, Bigby here is his creation. And so pretty much the whole story for this one is that these series of murders happening in the city. So basically, Batman suspects it's Bigby, who for some reason is the only character fairy tale Fables to pop up in this book. As far as I can tell, there's no real reason why just Bigby. Yeah, he's a werewolf. So we have Brian Level. I believe this guy may have been the guy behind the artwork, some of the artwork for the series. Yeah, the cover right here is of a Yannick Prediquement, person, and Nathan Fairborn. Yeah, this basically is a really good miniseries. It's only 6 issues, and it is a black label book, which is something, given the fact it feels like it's... What it feels like with this book, and this book is kind of weird, where you can't exactly say this is canon to the regular DC universe. You want to know why? Because it's like 5 first 6 Robins, like there's Stephanie Brown as Robin, Tim Drake, Dick Grayson. There's even someone named Jack as Robin. Yes, seriously. There is like a half a dozen Robins. Oracle is here, so is Jim Gordon, some detective who transferred from Detroit. And it turns out she's actually Cinderella, which is interesting. And apparently she works for Batman. Yes, seriously, Cinderella works for frickin' Batman. Why in the world does Cinderella work for Batman? And by the way, the person behind everything in this whole miniseries is the Ghost of the Old Lady. No, seriously. But that is Bill Willingham's fairy tales in a nutshell. It has some weird ideas for the fairy tale characters. Oddly enough, basically, being under the Black Label imprint makes total sense. You want to know why? Because the original Fables comic book, throughout its entire 150 issue run, by the way, the series is really good, by the way, was published entirely under the Vertigo imprint. Since Black Label is simply put an adult imprint, it makes total sense, basically, for this to be here. Yes, total sense. And I love it. This miniseries is good. I give this book, here's a shocker, a 10 out of 10 because it's good. Oh, by the way, the other thing ends with Batman saying Bigby, after this, I never want to see you again. And Bigby's like, I agree, I don't want to see you ever again. Though we might see that one. Yeah, good book. And here's a strange fun fact about what happened after this miniseries wrapped up. Apparently, Bill Willingham decided to revive the Fables series. Yes, but he continued under its original numbering. So, no new number 1. Because it's his series, he can do whatever heck he wants with it. So, basically, the deal with that one is this. Excuse me, it's 12-issue maxi series, but it continues the original numbering. So, we have 151 to 162 of Fables. That is seriously what's going on with that. Now, Fables is by far, in my opinion, one of Vertigo's best titles they've ever published. It is not that violent. It's basically the best way to describe fairy tales in a nutshell. It's like DC's version of Grimm Fairy Tales. That's like the Grimm Fairy Tales book published by Zenescope, which is a darker version of the classic fairy tales. This one is like a modernized. It's basically DC's style. It's DC's own. It's Bill Williams' own take on that. Except all the characters in the same universe, and they all exist in a town called Fabletown in New York City. I have previously done reviews for this particular series in the deluxe editions. I have currently reviewed the first 11 volumes, along with volume 14. I have not reviewed volumes 12, 13. Let's see. Let's see. So basically, the only deluxe editions left, because the fact that I was able to get done the first 11 books. Yeah, it's first 11. The only ones left to go are volumes 12, 13, 15, and that's it. Yeah, roughly 3 deluxe editions. I own volume 14. So I have 3 more deluxe editions left to go for Fables, and that's it. And you might think, okay, are any of the spin offs in trade? Like, for example, the series Fairest. Yes. Yes, it is. That one is entirely in trade. There is also, let's see, there is a Ever After book. I don't know if this one's in trade or not. I have no idea. It may be. I don't have any idea. I hope it is. Yeah, I hope it is. So, in the case of basically when I've reviewed 4 Fable so far, aside from reviewing like 12 out of like 15 volumes for deluxe edition, the only thing else I reviewed, well, aside from this miniseries, is, well, I reviewed the Literals miniseries. That was part of the crossover, the Great Fables crossover. Yep. And of course, this book. That's pretty much it. So a good much for basically this one. Now I have read Peter and Max a Fables novel. I have read it. It is really really good. It's most of a focus on Peter, Pied Piper, and Bo Peep. And you could say the thing about this book is it takes place later on in the Fables book, where Beast from Beauty and the Beast becomes the sheriff of Fabletown after Bigby steps down as the sheriff. That's the time period that book takes place in. So if you read the Fables book, you would know exactly where this book takes place. And Bill and him wrote it. It's the only novel associated with this franchise. Yes. Who would have thunk, though, when it comes to Vertigo, the Fables will be one of the very few series from Vertigo that to be this successful. The only other one that's been a success is this, where I have a boatload of spin-offs with this one, is Hellblazer. That's the only one I can think of that did it. Because if you think of other books that Vertigo published, not a lot of them were successful, but I would definitely say Hellblazer definitely was, and so was Fables. And when the book series ended in originally in like I think it was like 2015, this was not long before the Vertigo imprint was discontinued. Yes, this was actually 5 years before the whole entire imprint was discontinued. Yeah, roughly 5 years. Though basically it was like whatever was left of Vertigo at that point was pretty much absorbed into Black Label. Yeah, any other series that was published at that point is all now absorbed. Yep, that's pretty much what happened with it. It's all been absorbed into the actual franchise. Yeah, and it's absorbed into Black Label because Black Label is DC's new adult imprint. So I'm looking forward to, well, I'll talk more about it when I eventually take it. Now, to date, I've only reviewed from the Black Label imprint, The Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child, Joker, The Killer Smile, Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, Batman 3 Jokers, Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, Rorschach, Strange Adventures, The Bigby versus Wolf in Gotham, and that's it. That's all I reviewed. Basically, a small handful of series. I will probably review more series in the future when it comes to that one. Okay? So, yes, that's a particular review. Next one, when I get a chance to do, will be Skeleton Knight to Another World. Okay? Next video. Bye.